Well, Elizabeth, it's Elizaviews episode number 8. Are
Yep.
you excited about this episode?
I'm so excited.
I mean, it was a different change of pace from what we've been watching.
I love these old movies.
Well, this is one of my favorites. One of the best old movies ever.
It's fantastic. I can't believe I haven't seen it.
I can't either.
Until now.
Oh, well, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to Elizaviews.
Whining about movies.
And I'm, of course, your sommelier of cinema, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your master of fun and wonder, and your existential Mr. Rogers, Robert Meyer Burnett. And this is Whining About Movies episode number 8. And my co-host, my lovely co-host here is...
Elizabeth Gwendolyn Bell.
And this is basically her journey through movies I force upon her, whether she likes them or not. Today is a very special film, and I think before we start in, however, as we are wont to do, I think it's time to introduce tonight's drop, our nice bottle of wine.
Yes.
And I don't know much about this bottle of wine. All I know is it's a Chardonnay. Akiyoshi. It's a Chardonnay. It's from Lodi, California. And why don't we pour it up?
Alrighty.
Chardonnay. Yeah, well, here we go.
Let's try it.
Let's try it.
Always a healthy pour.
Oh, you know what? I wouldn't be me if I wouldn't. Healthy Pour is my middle name. Some people think it's Meyer, but it's Healthy Pour. And tonight we drink to a seminal film in its genre. We drink to 1944's Double Indemnity,
Yes.
starring Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, and Edward G. Robinson. What a cast. A movie that was co-written by director Billy Wilder and Raymond Chandler, of all people, co-wrote the script based on James M. Cain's novella that was based on a 1927 murder case that he covered as a reporter, which actually happened. So while it's not exactly the same, this is based on a true story, a pre-Depression American true story about a potential insurance scam and murder.
Wow.
So let's hear it for Double Indemnity and director Billy Wilder's film noir masterpiece.
Yes, a masterpiece.
Is it not a masterpiece?
Yeah.
With one of the greatest scripts of all time. I mean,
Oh man, yes.
the dialogue in this, we'll get into it.
Yes, we will.
First of all, let's
Let's
try
try
this.
our wine.
Let's try our wine.
Oh.
That's very interesting. What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Chardonnay.
See, I like
lover.
shards. I'm a big shard fan.
I need it to I need to take a second taste.
It has a perfumey quality to it.
I don't like when they're too sweet. This is a little sweet.
Think it's a little sweet? You're scowling.
Yeah, we'll see as time goes
We'll
on.
see as time goes on. I guess that's all we can do. Whining about movies.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
I don't love it. So far.
So far. Well, okay.
So far.
Now, did you love the movie? Tell me, what did you think of Double Indemnity? Which I told you was one of the greatest, if not the greatest, film noir film.
Yes.
Sort of, it really lays out the genre.
Yeah, it's wow. I mean, from the start, the dialogue is just amazing. I mean, the writing for this
I
film.
think you got something on your nose right there. Let's see. Yeah, it's gone now. I just want to make
Well,
sure.
thank you.
You know, we're live.
Thanks for looking out for me.
You're welcome. I try and look out for you. So I didn't mean to interrupt. So go ahead. The dialogue.
Yeah, the dialogue is just amazing in this film.
I mean, the rat-a-tat-tat, pitter-patter.
Yes.
Nobody talks like this anymore.
No, I wish we did.
And, before we start really getting into it, what would you think of this movie? What would people of today say? I mean, in terms of the Me Too movement. I mean, here's a movie where Fred MacMurray, an insurance salesman, goes into his client's house, meets his client's wife for the first time, does not miss a beat, and literally starts hitting on her. He is going for it, going in for the kill.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of guys like that. He's a player. He's a player.
But he's a player that he doesn't even he doesn't even make any bones about it. He just goes in and he's basically like, I want you. I know I'm here to sell your husband. I mean, he's just it's not like he's a rich
They're
dude.
very flirtatious.
They both are very flirtatious.
Very flirtatious.
But he's like, look at that ankle bracelet you have on.
Yeah.
And she walks.
Total player. But she's even more of a player.
Well, as we find out how much of a player she is as the plot is introduced to us.
And their chemistry is amazing. I feel like it worked so well. It really makes you believe like these two people are fatally attracted to each other.
In more ways than one.
Yes.
And she might be, well, why don't you lay out the plot in simple terms for the folks at home to understand?
Yeah, so he shows up at her house to renew their automobile insurance.
They have two cars.
And the husband is not home.
He works in oil in Long Beach.
Right. So he gets to their house, and upon opening the door, the servant or the maid opens the door.
Yeah.
And she's at the top of the stairs wrapped in a towel.
Right. She comes wrapped in a towel.
And right away, he's like, oh, hello.
Yeah. Boom, chicka, boom,
How you doing?
I mean, totally. And she's all like looking at him, sizing up. Why don't you wait in the room for me?
I'll be right down.
You know, and there's the great voiceover. He's like, you could still smell the cigar smoke from last night. You know, it's and Fred McMurray was playing totally against type in this movie. He'd done a lot of comedies up to this point, and now, like you said, this dude is the Mac Daddy.
Wasn't he in like My Three Sons?
Yeah, but that was decades later. Well,
Okay,
no,
but
not
still-
decades, but yeah,
Still,
close.
like his persona in that show was not at
no,
all
no.
what he is in this film. Not at all.
Yeah, no, he was playing against type in this movie as well.
Yeah.
You know, and
But he does it so well. Like you really believe like he's this really super like, suave guy.
And you know, you hate him, but you kind of love him too.
Exactly.
You kind of love him.
You kind of love him.
Yeah, you kind of. I mean, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, damn, that guy's got some skills,
He's
man.
got skills.
I want to be able to walk into a room like that dude and just be able to walk up to some hottie married lady and be like, hi.
How you doing?
I mean, that's what it was.
Baby.
But the dialogue between them, the
Yeah,
pitter patter,
yes.
the rat-a-tat-tat,
Like,
nobody even could
there's a
write
speed
that way
limit
anymore.
in this state, Mr. Neff.
Oh yeah, that was
45 miles an hour.
that was very funny.
And he's like, how fast was I going, officer? She's like, you were going 90.
yeah. So, yeah, it was.
I mean,
it was.
the writing for this movie was amazing.
It was amazing, and it's nonstop. But you have like Billy Wilder, one of the great filmmakers of all time, one of my favorite directors of all time. I mean, he made things like Some Like It Hot and The Apartment and all that. I mean, he's one of the great directors. But the screenwriting.
Yeah,
I mean, you're working with
great.
Raymond Chandler, a novelist, a man who is responsible for so many great mystery stories, teaming up and adapting a novella by the guy who wrote The Postman Always Rings Twice. I mean, this movie, the writing pedigree of this film, it does not get any better.
Yeah.
And even though it was 1944, I mean, this movie was, I think it was, I don't know if World War II had ended yet.
44?
Well, I mean, if it had actually happened, but
It came out in 44.
yeah, it came out in 44. So
Well, he tried to make this film earlier than that.
for 8 years, they tried to make this movie for 8 years, and they couldn't get it made.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, this is totally a kind of film that I would show my kids. I think that they would love it. I think Zoe would really like this film. I think she could really get into this film.
I think that's the funny thing about this. For those of you who might be younger and think to yourself, I don't want to watch a movie made over 70 years ago, after the first 5 minutes, which is a flashback. I mean, the first 5 minutes is the movie's a flashback. The first 5 minutes is you're meeting the characters and you don't really know what's going on yet as he's walking back to his insurance office.
Right.
So
and then he starts narrating, and I love narrated films.
Right.
Love that.
He's recording his confession on an old, I mean, if you didn't know what it was, it's this old dictaphone technology that you have to put the cylinder in to record to. I guess it's the wax cylinder. It's a pretty big cylinder. I was like, doesn't he have to switch that shit out? Like, you know, but it's so as soon as he starts narrating, the movie just takes off like a rocket.
Yeah, and it's nonstop. It just goes, and goes. Like, there's no time where you're like, oh, is this going to end? Like, I'm kind of bored. But no, never.
No.
Yeah.
Well, because so much happens.
So much happens.
And
it
characters
just
get
keeps going.
introduced. So talk a little bit about... So immediately, like within the first 10 minutes of them meeting, They literally the second time he comes over.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. Well, so she's a total sociopath, and
she may have killed somebody before the movie started.
Yeah. So like, she's like, ooh, ding, 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 insurance. Oh, I'm gonna get him to come back. So, and she's flirting with him and like, doing her thing, and gets him to come back.
Like right away. And she first says, come back, my husband's home. And then she's like, no, why don't you come at 3 in the afternoon?
She leaves a message for him, and she's like, show up at 3 on Thursday.
Well, she comes to his house.
Well, no, for the second time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Calls him on the phone, that's right.
He goes over there, and she suavely and pretends like she's innocent. It's like, well, what if I got injury insurance, or what was accident insurance on my husband?
Because he works in the oil fields, and what if he gets hit by
I'm so worried about him.
Because someone else broke their back.
And she's like, but you know what? I don't want to bother him with this. Can I just sign and get him the insurance?
What's so great about that is she's throwing this out there being all innocent, and Fred McMurray doesn't miss a beat. And he's like, oh, you want to kill your husband? I mean, the great thing about this movie is everybody is wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Or if you're from Boston, wicked smart. Everybody is smart as fuck in this movie, and that's what's so great about it.
Yes.
Characters aren't stupid.
No one is stupid in this film.
Everybody is smart. Right. And the fact that Fred McMurray just calls her out, Mr. Neff.
Yeah. And they're so straightforward. He's like, oh, you're trying to kill your husband.
Right. There's
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, there's none of that.
See ya.
And he's like, I want to get a piece of that, so I'll help.
Well, not until after. At first, he's like, I don't want anything to do with this.
He leaves immediately. He does leave. That's
he's
true.
He's like, I'm out of here.
And he gets out quick.
He does.
He's like, you're crazy. He knows there's a lot of crazy there.
Uh-huh.
And he bails.
But
then he kind of goes home, and he's staring off into the rainy Los Angeles night.
And he's like so like infatuated with her. He's like, oh, well, maybe, I could do this perfectly because I know the insurance industry. Like, I know how to make this happen. So then he's like, oh, I could get the woman and the money.
Yeah. And then she shows up. That's when she shows up. And she shows up because she knows she's got his... And he's like, how'd you find out where I lived? And she's like, the phone book. And you're like, the phone book.
The phone book.
That was like the internet, but back in the day.
And then she goes, you don't care about me? And that's when he kisses her.
Oh, yeah. And they could never show this because the Hays Code was in effect.
Right.
But you think, I think they did it.
They probably did.
And she has, I have to be home by 7:30 or whatever. I mean, it's so good. Like, I can't tell you how good this is. I mean, I can tell you, it's so good. And then you find out that she has a stepdaughter. That the man that Barbara Stanwyck is married to, Lola, her stepdaughter.
Oh, and by the way, this all happens in my old neighborhood that we moved away from just 3 years ago. This was in Los Feliz. And I was like flipping out. I was like, Los Feliz, like I raised my kids there. And like, oh my God, this whole thing is about Los Feliz.
Well, the corner of Vermont and Los Feliz. There's even that one building.
Vermont and Franklin.
That
was walking distance from my apartment.
Oh, yeah. And the buildings that were there.
I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
It's such a great LA story, too. I mean, LA is a character.
Yes.
In this, definitely in this movie. Mm-hmm. And then it sort of goes from there. Now, why is it called Double Indemnity?
Okay, because there's certain accidents that pay double.
Right.
So falling off a train
is one of them.
Counts as a double payment. So they're like, ooh, let's have him like fall off a train.
They fucking straight up strangle him in a car.
Yeah.
And say, I mean, they kill, spoiler alert, they kill the husband and throw him off the back of a train.
Well, they don't throw him off the back of the train. They kill him.
Oh, they put him on the tracks.
Mr. Neff impersonates him.
That's right.
Jumps off the train. Right. And then they put the body on the train tracks.
That's right. That's what they do.
It's brilliant, actually.
That's exactly. And of course, Edward G. Robinson, who's Neff's boss. And what's so great is Edward G. Robinson is established in the beginning for sniffing out any kind of insurance fraud.
Right. Like he's really good at it.
He's really good at it. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Lola, her stepdaughter, Barbara Stanwyck, is convinced that you find out over the course of the plot that Barbara Stanwyck was her husband now was his first wife's nurse.
Right.
And looks to like
Right.
Lola believes that she straight up like murdered him.
Yeah, Lola's like, look, she killed my mother.
Yeah, she killed my mother.
And now she killed my father. Poor girl.
And then Mr. Neff and Lola.
Yeah, so then he has like this fatherly relationship with her.
Fatherly. Sure. That guy's a player par excellence.
He's such a player.
You know, for a guy who's an insurance broker, Mr. Neff gets around. But Lola has a boyfriend.
She does have a boyfriend. This weird guy.
Yeah.
Who
I mean, we shouldn't tell all of we shouldn't tell everything.
I think we already did.
No, because it's rapidly careening to, because we're not talking about how it resolves.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
this is still
true.
it's still all set up.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, this movie would you say it was delightful?
I loved this movie. I really loved this movie. I thought the acting was so great. The dialogue was amazing. The whole plot of the movie, it just moved along so nicely. I mean, it was really great.
Were you surprised that a movie from 1944 could be, I mean, this dark, and there's a smoldering sexuality to it?
Yes.
And I mean, the clothes are great. The people are seedy and awesome, but like the fact that, I mean, this was 1944.
Right.
And this is a dark...
That's the year my mother was born.
Yeah, this is a dark movie, a dark pathway.
Yes.
And it really, I mean, when you see it, you can see how the film noir genre with the femme fatale, the guy who thinks he's smart but maybe has gotten a little too deep.
Yeah.
You know, and is being outmaneuvered by a femme fatale, which
Yeah.
I just love the fact that Barbara Stanwyck is just a straight up baller.
Yeah, movie. She is.
I mean,
what a sociopath.
She's a sociopath, but she's unrepentant, and she's beautiful, and she dresses well, and I mean,
plotting and conniving, and yes.
I'm sure wearing an ankle bracelet back in the day was scandalous.
Right?
You can't wear an ankle bracelet. I mean, it was.
And the clothing is just beautiful. The styling and the lighting. It's just.
Oh, and Miklos Rosa. Miklos Rosa wrote the score, the music. And the music is awesome, too.
I mean,
Miklos Rosa, when you think of classic Hollywood scores, Miklos Rosa is one of the great composers. And everybody of note. Edith Head designed the costumes. I mean, one of the Westmores did the makeup. I mean, this movie is straight up. It is first class, #1, Hollywood of the 40s. I mean, it does not get any better than this. This movie was, although I think it was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, but didn't win 1.
Yes, I read that.
It did not win 1.
That's amazing. Which
is too bad, because when you think about how good this movie really is, it is peak classic Hollywood filmmaking at its finest. It doesn't get better than this.
It's wonderful. I totally recommend this film. I think everyone should see it.
Everybody should see this movie. Now, like, were you surprised at a film that came out in 1944 how contemporary, at least obviously not in the speech patterns are not contemporary, but I mean, in terms of the greed and the wanton, unrepentant evilness.
Well, I think that humans have felt that for centuries. I mean, we are human after all.
But you know, you think classic movies like, ooh, It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
But this movie was, I mean, this is as good as any, whether you're watching Body Heat or Basic Instinct or Last Seduction or something modern. Right. This movie was, I'm sure at the time, I didn't go back and read any reviews of it, but I'm sure this movie was people must have just gone mad for this movie.
Mm-hmm. I think they did. I think they loved it.
Yeah, because it was
probably different from what they had been seeing.
Well, I find it interesting that it was based on a true story. Well, it was a novella that was based on a true story, and then it was adapted in the middle of World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, it came out in 44, but we're making it earlier. I don't know how long it took them to turn this stuff around, but you know, it was still made during wartime.
Right.
So I don't know if that informed how dark the movie was.
Maybe.
But it's in terms of starting, I mean, that classic noir, all the tropes of film noir are in this film, and
wasn't it one of the first film noirs, or?
Well, I mean, I think it was. Yeah, it was. It was. I don't think it was the first, but this whole story came out of American pulp magazines of like the 20s and 30s.
Right. The murder
mysteries and the Dame to Kill For and all that. I mean, it definitely, what's great is I love my literary adaptations, and this was such a, I mean, again, I don't know how it was received.
Have you read the book?
No. No, I have not read the novella. It was like serialized in a magazine. I've never read the original novella that this is based on. But I mean, it's a film that you keep coming back to, and I've probably seen this movie, I don't know, 20 times over the year. But because it's, you know, when you start reading about the genre, it's like you have to watch this movie. I mean, this is one of these movies that if you have not seen this movie, like Casablanca or Citizen Kane, I would say this is an essential cornerstone to a cinematic education of American movies. Like because so much followed this film that you have to have seen this movie. I feel that you're not a real cineast. You don't know your movies if you haven't seen Double Indemnity. I feel that way.
Well, this is my first time seeing it.
Well, yeah, but no,
I've seen a lot, but
I mean, when you go back in time,
I can't believe I haven't seen this film.
Well, you know, I think it's because there's so much to watch now.
So much.
You know, and there's so much contemporary stuff that I think a lot of people don't.
Well, I watch a lot of older films.
No, you do. But I think that there's a lot of even younger people that are like, why would you... If I wanted to show somebody a movie... I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, especially in this era, the way men treat women and women treat men... there's a lot of people that are going to just be indignant and be like, I don't like the way this white cis male is treating this woman. It's so misogynistic.
I took it more like they were flirting.
Well,
hardcore flirting.
Yeah, but I mean, both are in the wrong. She's married.
Right.
It's that's what's so great about it. It's just, these characters are delicious.
They are. They're amazing. I love them.
So how did you feel about the portrayal of masculine, feminine roles and sexuality, and the fact that these people are unrepentant about going after what they want? There's no pretense to them.
Right.
I mean, they just
go for it.
They just go for it.
Yeah.
I'm liking this better, by the way, as it's...
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that it's out a bit, it's better.
So how did you feel about that? I mean, looking back from today's perspective, you know, he's not exactly Don Draper from Mad Men, which we watched the whole thing, but he's still got that hey.
He's totally like charming her, and
would you have been charmed by him?
Absolutely.
Mr. Neff would have floated your boat?
Absolutely.
Really?
I would have gone for that.
Really?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have seen through it and said, "Come on, dude, why are you laying it on so thick?" You just would have gone for it?
I mean, she did. She even said, like, Mr. Neff, the speed limit is 45.
I know. But, okay.
Yeah.
Now, was there anything about this movie you didn't like?
No, not really.
I mean, Edward G. Robinson as his boss, you know, he played heavies and things like that, but he was like the good guy in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, he was looking for justice.
Right.
You know, and when he brings in a witness. Well, I don't want to, you know, get into where the movie goes, but I mean, he's the one guy that I think he was it was kind of neat seeing him playing against type.
Do you think he suspected him? Do you think he suspected Neff?
I don't know. I mean, what's interesting is that Neff, we know from the beginning of the movie that he's confessing to him.
Right.
You know, and I think that what's interesting is that Fred McMurray respects his boss.
Yes.
You know, they have this great, when you first meet them and he goes into his office.
He even says, "I love you."
Yeah, and how much he respects his boss and how much they're friends. And he really respects his ability to sniff out. Because, like, at the beginning, Edward G. Robinson sniffs out the guy who burned his own truck to get the $600 insurance money. And Fred MacMurray's like, I sold that guy his policy. Like, he's pissed off that one of his customers tried to pull a fast one on the company.
Right.
And apparently lots of people do. I guess insurance fraud was a big deal back then.
I'm sure it's a big deal now, too.
Well, yeah, no, I think it's just harder to pull off. But it seemed like everybody they did business with was a thief. Like, their entire clientele was a bunch of crooks.
Right.
And Edward G. Robinson could sniff out anyone.
Yes, he could.
So, did you like him?
I did like him, but at the beginning, you're rooting for this bad act that they're doing. Like, you want them to get away with it, right? Because you think, oh, they're in love.
But do you? Do you want them to get away with it?
I don't know, but then like halfway through the film, you're like, yeah, not so much.
Well, yeah, because they're too. You maybe should text Zoe about the dog.
About Tallulah?
Yeah, she's barking.
Okay.
Just saying, just as an aside. But,
yeah.
But did you want them to get away with it, really?
Well, maybe at first, but yeah.
So you're like supporting, like, are you saying then that you're condoning the evil acts of these people?
No, but you know how like on some films, like you're rooting for the bad guy?
Yeah, I mean, I still root for Catherine Trammell in Basic Instinct.
See?
I wanted her to win the whole, and she does. She basically wins. And I completely agree that. But yeah, I understand. I mean, I can see that you'd want them to win because it is. You just want to like. I kind of was left with the idea that
at the end, like you're like, yeah.
Well, too much. There's too much. There's too high of a price to be paid.
Yeah.
Prices are paid.
Yeah, when you realize like, oh, poor Lola, like she's totally orphaned now. I mean, that's like so evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aw.
Well, Lola, what are you gonna do?
She
wasn't
a
good
girl.
enough daughter. She was not overlooking her parents. Apparently, she was. I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
She said I was just a child when my mother died.
It's true, but she should have known.
Oh, well, what could she do about it?
I'm just saying.
She was a kid.
She didn't have to. But it's funny. The dialogue in this it is like a movie. I mean, I'm like a song. What I mean is the dialogue is so. It's like poetry. You just don't hear dialogue. I don't even know if it's possible to write dialogue this good anymore, because it would seem too affected. If people spoke this cleverly, nobody would believe it like today.
Yeah, how come? Because we're just not clever anymore.
Well, I don't know if people are different. I mean, I think about movies that had dialogue similar, like modern films. Like I really like Bugsy, like when Annette Bening says, "Why don't you go outside and jerk yourself a soda," and stuff like that. Or like in Body Heat, Lawrence Kasdan's Body Heat, when Kathleen Turner talks about how she doesn't like her men too smart. That's what I like in a man or something. I like my men not smart. I don't remember what she says, but Body Heat is definitely a throwback to a movie like this,
yeah.
Double Indemnity. But yeah, I think everything that we've seen since then, I don't know if there's ever been a movie that's equaled this in the modern day. Movies have come close.
I have to think about it. Maybe.
But I mean, people always look back to this, even though 1944 makes it. What does that make it now? That makes it 76. I mean, this Blu-ray is the 70th anniversary, and that was.
Well, yeah,
that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, my mom is turning 70.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's how old this movie is. Your mom is as old as Double Indemnity.
Actually,
like
both my parents were born in 44. They were born on the same day in 2 different countries.
Well, that's amazing. Can you speak? What countries are they from? Can you speak the language of those countries?
Yeah, we spoke all 3 languages at home.
Why don't you show us an example of that?
I see what you're trying to do. 30,000 subs. I will speak French.
All right. Well. So what more did you like about this movie? What would you tell people about this film more than we've done? Would you say that this movie would be surprising for? Do you think modern audiences can still eat this up? I mean, we talked about people can watch it now and still get a kick out of it. But like you said, your daughter Zoe, who's 19.
Yeah, I think people could enjoy this film. I mean, like I said, it's not slow. It keeps going. It keeps your interest. The dialogue is fantastic. I mean, I would totally recommend this to anybody.
No, I think so too. And it strikes me, I guess it's like one of those movies, like I watch this movie like All About Eve and like Sunset Boulevard or like Sweet Smell of Success. You know, these movies they come more of out of a tradition of theater.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, movies obviously, but movies owe a great debt to the theater, especially back in that time of day when the art of cinema in terms of cinematic language and all of this. I mean, movies like this is well shot. It's a beautiful film, but they were limited in what they could do in terms of their cinematography. So the dialogue would, although it is beautifully shot in the way light and shadow works in this film, there's even in the beginning, even over the opening credits, when you see the silhouette from behind of Fred McMurray, it's great.
Yeah.
But I do think that this movie holds up, and I think anybody that wants to, like I said before, go into, if they want to delve into an older films, like going all the way back to the 40s, I think this movie its content is surprising to people today.
Yes.
That's what I think.
They don't expect something so good that's so old.
And also that's
even Zoe was like, "What? You're watching a film from when?" It's like, it was made in the 40s. Would I like it? Oh yes, you would like it.
Yeah. And I think that's what's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like some more of this, since it is indeed opened up?
Speaking of Zoe, she made an amazing tri-tip tonight.
Oh, she cooked a fantastic dinner tonight.
Yeah. Being home has been inspiring her to cook.
Spinach tortellini, corn, mashed potatoes, and tri-tip.
And salad. It was so good.
It was delightful. Well, we got our first letter.
Oh,
we got fantastic. Our first letter. Eliza Views got its first letter. And you haven't seen this letter, have you?
No.
I just want to say that this letter was written by Christopher Morgan.
Okay.
And I'm not happy about this letter, Christopher. Just I'll be flat out. I'll tell you that right now.
Does it talk about the Sound of Music?
To Eliza Views, thanks for the perspectives. And much like Rick and Morty, where Rick lets Morty choose every 10th adventure, I don't think it's outside of the realm of reality, at least one of them, that Elizabeth chooses at least 1 out of 10.
Thank you.
My vote?
Thank you.
Sound of Music. Robert Wise, should be enough.
Yes.
Love, Christopher Robin Morgan. P.S. Pretentious is as pretentious does. Everything stands on everything that came before, and if that isn't a stand against the subjectivity of film, I don't know what is. We all owe what came before. Well, Christopher, I want to thank you for our first letter here at Eliza Views, whining about movies, and I will...
Yes, thank you, Christopher, and I love that your name is Christopher Robin.
And I will commit... I'll commit...
You will commit?
Our next movie...
The next
movie, because this was the end of our four twisted romance kind of things. Next movie, on Wednesday night, we'll discuss Sound of Music. How about that?
Did you guys hear that? That's pretty amazing. Sound of Music.
We're going to watch Sound of Music. It's even on Disney Plus. We can watch it on Disney Plus, see how it looks.
Okay.
We'll try that. How about that? Sound of Music it is.
I can't believe this is happening.
We're going to watch Sound of Music. So here you go. Here's to you. Here's the Sound of Music.
Yay.
So anyway, Christopher, thank you for that. And people have been sending in chats and things. So let's and now over to you. Let's see. So Brian sends in a tip and says, just got the 2 latest Andy Sedaris films released on Blu-ray. What are your thoughts on Andy Sedaris films? Personally, I think they're the pinnacle of late 80s, early 90s cheesy action movies. Well, you can even go back into the 70s with Andy Sedaris. But you're right. You probably don't know any of Andy Sedaris' movies, but the 2 movies that come to mind, he made a movie called Seven.
I saw Seven.
No, not that Seven. That's David Fincher. He made another movie called Seven that I actually liked. I used to watch it on Showtime, like in the early 80s. It was, and then there was a movie, I want to say Savage Beach, that I saw a lot on cable. You know, so yeah, Andy Sedaris. There's a place for Andy Sedaris. I wasn't a really big fan of his, but definitely watched his movies. Definitely watch his movies. So yeah. But what's interesting is you didn't say that you got the two latest Andy Sedaris films. He died, didn't he? He passed away. I guess you mean the two Andy Sedaris films that just came out on Blu-ray. Seven was one of them. They released Seven on Blu-ray. I think Kino Lorber put it out. I want to get that. I would like to see that again. I haven't seen it. Mukbang Reviews sent in a super chat and says, I love everything about this film. It's hard to quantify. Overall, it's just amazing. The dialogue kills me. Thank you both for reviewing it. It's so good. It's such a good movie.
The dialogue is so good.
The dialogue is so good. And Mukbang sends in, beyond an amazing script, someone edited the hell out of this thing. The cuts, the pace, I love the angles and direction. Hair and costumes are spectacular.
Yes.
Now, everything about this movie it's first rate. This is golden age Hollywood at its pinnacle. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the peak of 40s movies. And they talk about, if you go to film school, you talk a lot about how the 40s and the 70s were the best periods of American cinema. And I tend to agree with that. In terms of now, that's not to say a lot of people are like, well, I think the 80s are the best movie. I understand that. But and there's great films in every decade. But the films of the 40s were a transcendent and transformative period in Hollywood history. And this movie is just one of them.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
Oh my God, it's just so good. Claudius, Claudius sends in a tip.
You're the best.
Bonjour, Elizabeth et Robert. Nous espérons que vous allez bien. We hope you're well.
Oh, he translated.
We love the sense of mounting tension in Double Indemnity. That tension is similar to other classic film noirs like Maltese Falcon, The Big Sleep, and Key Largo. 100%. By the way, all those are great films. Maltese Falcon, The Big Sleep, and Key Largo, and they have a certain person in that's well, the same actor. Someone appears in them.
Did you drink all your wine?
No, I have not drank. I can't. I've been talking on the internet all day.
Aww.
I know. What can I say? Claudius sends in another. Keyes foreshadows Neff's mistake. Unlike Neff, Keyes researched his ex-fiancée. Speaking of the dialogue, do you remember David Mamet writing dialogue like this in Glengarry Glen Ross and The Spanish Prisoner? Yes, I'm a huge David Mamet fan, but his dialogue, no doubt David Mamet is an incredible writer and his dialogue is amazing. But there was something different about this dialogue. It was less or more I don't know. I don't want to say that Mamet's dialogue is better or worse, because his dialogue is terrific. But there is I think, even more so than Mamet. Mamet really writes great dialogue for people to say, but this has a poetry that's almost literary. I mean, you really get the sense that you've got the combination of a filmmaker and Billy Wilder and Raymond Chandler, who is a great novelist in his own right, and I just feel that the language here is even better than what Mamet does. And I don't know how I would quite put it exactly, but I think it's I don't know. It's like you're watching people tango with words.
That's
in this
a good
movie.
way of putting it.
And not that Mamet's dialogue. Mamet writes great hard-boiled dialogue, but this was just, watching Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray go back and forth. It was just, I don't know. There was something that, I don't know.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Seduce Screening Room sends in a super chat and says, "It happened one night. Great movie from 1934. 10 years before. But It Happened One Night's a great film. That would be another one we could watch. That's not bad. After Sound of Music, which I've now locked into." Mukbang Reviews sends in another super chat. Night of the Hunter, 1955. Robert Mitchum. That was a horror black and white. I have the Criterion Blu-ray of that, of Night of the Hunter. Love and Hate. It's one of the great. That's another one of the great films. I mean, that is more of a horror movie than a film noir, though people would say it's noir, but it's not. It's interesting. Anonymous tipped 420. All right, dude.
Thank you.
420, dude.
With a smiley face.
With a smiley face. Thank you for that. Anonymous, have you seen Double Indemnity? One of the things. Do you miss movies like this now? Do you think?
Yes.
Is there any movie that you could think of in the modern day that reminds you? I mean, obviously there are plots like Body Heat's one. There's lots of noirs and murder mysteries, and now you can see like 10-episode Netflix shows. Like we watched those Harlan Corbin mysteries that are like 10 episodes long, where something happens in a nice gated community. And
the British murder mystery.
Yeah,
I like those shows.
But this was,
this is different.
I mean, I love modern noirs and films like this, but it is different. Would you like to see movies like this made today? I mean, do you think audiences would go for movies like this?
Yeah, I do. I think they would. Everyone loves a good murder mystery. I mean, it'd be great to hear like great dialogue like that again.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are films, modern day films. I'd have to think about that. I'm not good.
I mean, there are. Like, I like modern noirs, but there's something, like one of my favorites is a movie called Romeo is Bleeding. It's not like this, it's different, but I was, Unleash Me on Mankind send in a very generous super chat. Unleash Me on Mankind. I've been watching the Chronicles of Riddick series during me and my wife's self-quarantine, and I have to say the planets in this series are better than any Disney Star Wars planets by far. Way more character.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, well, I have to tell you, I am. There's three. There's Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and just Riddick with Vin Diesel. I love Pitch Black, and I especially love Chronicles of Riddick. I mean, first of all, how can you not love a movie where the bad guys are named the Necromongers? I mean, that's one of the greatest names of characters ever. But look, I agree with you. One of the things that I loved about Chronicles of Riddick is there's a prison that they have to escape from. I forget the name of the prison, but when the sun is up, it's like hundreds of degrees on the surface, and you just burn up right away.
Yeah.
And there's a great set piece based on where the Terminator or the sun is and how they're going to keep away from. So this entire set piece is based on physical science. It's also based for those flat earthers.
When did that come out?
Chronicles of Riddick came out in the early 2000s, maybe? Pitch Black came out earlier. But I agree with you, Unleash Me on Mankind. I love the planets. I think a lot of what's going on in those movies is great. I'll tell you what's interesting about those. Do you remember that movie that I made you watch, The Arrival, with Charlie Sheen?
Yes.
That was written and directed by David Twohy, who wrote and directed all the Chronicles of Riddick movies. And you liked The Arrival.
I did.
The Arrival.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was one of those movies that popped up on YouTube, watch free with ads. And it came out in 96. This total aside has nothing to do with Double Indemnity, but
it's okay.
I was watching. It's got a great Ron Silver performance, but it's a Charlie Sheen movie. And it's about aliens that are already here, and they've set up a terraforming operation, and they're in the process of terraforming. And speaking of David Mamet, Lindsay Krause, who I believe was married to David Mamet, is actually in The Arrival. So see what happens on whining about movies? It just, stuff happens. Lindsay Krause is great. She's a great actress. If you want to see a great performance of Lindsay Krause's, now I've gone from Riddick to The Arrival to David Twohy to Lindsay Krause, who was in The Verdict. Sidney Lumet's The Verdict. I can't get enough of The Verdict.
Yes, very good.
But she talks about these doctors at the archdiocese that are covering up this medical malpractice thing.
Yes.
Who are these men? She's so good in that role.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that probably people are going, what's he talking about? Like, what? See, I'm talking about necromongers, all because Unleash Me on Mankind sent that generous super chat in.
Yes.
See, I went from Chronicles of Riddick to Lindsay Krause to The Arrival, Zane Zeminski, and then all the way back to The Verdict from 1982.
And that's amazing.
Well, that's what happens on Whining About Movies. You just never know when your cinematic consciousness is unleashed. Thomas Anderson sends in a super chat and says, "What did you think about The Lighthouse and K Out?" K Out.
K Out.
Is K Out Robert Pattinson? I don't know. What did you think about The Lighthouse? Remember I took you to see it?
Yeah.
Because we both love The Witch.
Yes.
And we go see The Lighthouse. What did you think?
I thought it was interesting. I thought the acting was great. I felt like it was trying a little too hard, but it was beautiful. And I love films about mental illness. So that was...
How do you know it was about mental illness? What if it could all really have just been happening?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that part was very interesting.
Well, they weren't mentally ill. They just went nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
In
they
isolation.
Went nuts, which is crazy, which is mentally ill.
You know, I thought what was really interesting, Robert Eggers, who wrote and directed The Lighthouse, he also wrote and directed The Witch. And he's now, I forget what he's doing now. He's doing something else really interesting. But he spent a lot of time researching the language of the time and things like sea shanties and how the Wikis talked.
Yeah.
And I love that about the movie. That was another movie where the dialogue it felt authentic and there was that real you are there feel to it. There was a real authenticity.
Yeah.
And, again, it also has sort of that mystical, like, what was Willem Dafoe doing up there in the lighthouse?
Yes, what was he doing up there?
Knives Out. Thomas Anderson says,
right.
What did you think about the lighthouse and Knives Out? I wouldn't have known that. I thought it was like K-Stew. Had something I was missing out because Robert Pattinson. That's where my mind goes. So what did you think about Knives Out?
I liked Knives Out.
I did too.
Again, a murder mystery kind.
But I didn't like it as much as you did. I liked Knives Out a lot. I thought it was beautifully made. But I didn't think... It's so interesting because the revelations to me... Maybe it's because I've read so many noir books and so many mysteries.
It was a little simple. Like, they kind of... There was no real mystery to it.
Like, I was waiting...
From the beginning, you knew... You kind of knew what was happening.
It was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty straightforward.
But I liked it. I know you didn't love it.
I didn't love it. I liked it though. I liked it a lot. I guess because I've read so many, I wanted more twists. I wanted more, and I wanted more of the family to be involved.
Yes.
It felt like they had all these great character actors, and I wanted more of a Rube Goldbergian aspect to the machinations of the plot, kind of a thing. But that's just me. I agree with that. That's just me. Mukbang Reviews, throwing out more Prince songs. Today's song is Adore. Prince from Sign of the Times. Lighthouse was about obsession to me. Mm-hmm. Well, it was. I think it was about obsession. That was definitely part of it. But, Robert Pattinson was trying to escape his past, too. He was. I think that was a big part of what was going on in that movie. Mm-hmm. Mukbang always sends me Prince songs.
Yes, I know.
That I'll sing.
I'm usually in the chat.
I know.
And speaking of the chat, people talk a lot about food. And the other day I was asked if I liked waffles or pancakes better.
Huh.
And so that night I had Zoe make me pancakes, which I had, and with real maple syrup, and it was delicious.
What does that have to do with Double Indemnity?
Nothing. I'm just saying. Your people like to talk about food.
Well, they're all sensualists. Food is one of the great sensual. I mean, you prepare the food, you grow the food, you buy the food, you prepare the food. It's artistic, and then you eat the food. I mean, it's artistic. It's a whole, and it all becomes shit in the end.
Lovely.
Well, no,
which is why we need toilet paper.
We had some because of last. Let's shout out to Ingy and Hernandez.
Yes,
Cheers to that. I still haven't finished that video, but I'll drop it tomorrow.
You really need to.
I need to finish the video. So okay, so as look, it's time is flying on these shows. They go by so fast.
Is it time already?
No, it's not time already. We got like 10 more minutes. But so let's go back to this film. I mean, what do you take away from this? Like why do you think that Raymond Chandler and Billy Wilder wrote this screenplay? What do you think attracted Billy Wilder to make this movie in the first place? The idea of human passions and human folly and foibles. I mean, why this story? What do we learn, Elizabeth? What do we learn from Double Indemnity, aside from the fact that don't fall in love with another man's wife and conspire to kill her husband?
Well, I think we're all attracted to human what's the right word? Mental illness.
No, I don't think there. No, I don't think there was that people were mental. I don't think they were mentally ill.
No, I mean, but she's a psychopath. Like she really doesn't care about anyone but herself.
And she is a murderer. Yeah,
she's a murderer. Like, she's murdered twice, and she even says, like, when he says, "Did you ever care about me?" And she's like, "No."
Right. Oh, she does say at the last minute.
Yeah,
she says,
after she shoots him, she's like, "In this very second."
Yeah, in this very moment.
I feel something.
Yeah.
And then he shoots her. Oops.
Oh.
Did I just...
Well, it's okay. The movie, it's...
Sorry, this movie is old. Come on, people.
The statutes of limitations is
Sorry, I didn't mean
but
to
that is,
spoil.
it is a great... That's another thing. Since we're going to talk about it, it is a great moment that when she finally just straight up says, "I feel something for you now."
Right.
I mean,
shot him.
It is the most... It is such a... It's so cold-blooded. It's so cold-blooded. I mean, she has played him from the beginning.
Yes, she has. She's pulled all the strings.
And I think what's really interesting to me about this trope about, women, because men a lot of the time are sort of, they're not smart. They're being led around by their dicks, and they're like, "I want that." And what is it when they want a woman, what is it what do they really want? And women in these movies know that they can use that as their ultimate tool of seduction. They grab these men and pull them in, and I love the fact that the men are chumps in these movies.
They are.
The men are just chumps, and I don't know why I like that idea so much, but I love the idea that women are able to do that.
Yes.
I just love that.
It's great. She was pulling all the strings.
Yeah, and she just knows. Like, she just knows that
she was always one step ahead of him.
Yeah. Oh my God, Rory Nolan sends in a very generous super chat. Well, actually, hang on a second. Claudius sends in a super chat and says, "Encore un pense? Double Indemnity versus Knives Out. As you pointed out before, in Double Indemnity, the antagonists are smart and are working hard to outwit each other. In Knives Out, a major character lacks agency." That's interesting. See, that's the thing. I felt that Knives Out wasn't nearly as...
It wasn't mysterious enough.
Or, yes.
It's like they kind of give you the answer at the beginning.
Right. And then all the people that they involve, all these great cast of characters, are sort of sidelined at the end. I mean, they're not integral to what's gone on.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing I would say that disappointed me, is that not everybody was involved. So that's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That's interesting you say that, Claudius. I don't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
And I think that was, if anything, that was a failing of the movie. Not that Knives Out isn't enjoyable, because we're talking about the top. I mean, Double Indemnity is peak noir genre. It doesn't get better. Even over 76 years later, it doesn't get better. So, and Roy Nolan sent in a very generous super chat. Wow. The Quiet Man, 1952, is a great watch. Yes, it is. Then get rad with The Taking of Beverly Hills.
I have not seen
The Taking of Beverly Hills, directed by Sidney Furie, starring Ken Wall from Wise Guy, Vinny Terranova himself. Oh my God. Although I'm not a big fan, like Sidney Furie did not have... Sidney Furie directed the original Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, I think. And then He directed like Iron Eagle and Superman 4. But he did direct The Taking of Beverly Hills, which was not great. But I liked seeing it because Ken Wall was in it. What a crazy double bill, Rory. I mean, The Quiet Man, one of the classics of the genre. Such a great movie. And then you're going to give me The Taking of Beverly Hills. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if getting rad after The Quiet Man is watching Taking of Beverly Hills. Anything that Ken Wall is in. By the way, if you want to watch a great Ken Wall movie and you like The Taking of Beverly Hills, James Glickenhaus's The Soldier, his follow-up to The Exterminator. Kino Lorber put out a great Blu-ray of that, so have your Ken Wall double feature. Boy, that's we're zipping away. We're moving away from Double Indemnity here.
Yeah, I don't know either one of those.
You're like going,
films.
what the hell are you talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Rory, here's to you. Thanks for supporting Elizaviews. And
yes, thank
here's
you.
to Rory. Let's whine about.
Yes.
If any madman is going to watch The Quiet Man and The Taking of Beverly Hills, you deserve a drink from me. I raise my glass to you. We've interrupted Throg. Our boy Throg. Throg is always good for good. Throg. I love that. Throg never has the same name twice.
Oh, really?
Yes, we've interrupted Throg. I love that. As men, we are just gullible. Double Indemnity shows that. Men want to be a hero and want a lot of vagina. Has Elizabeth seen Snowpiercer? Have you seen Snowpiercer?
No.
With Chris Evans,
Nope.
directed by the Bonger, Bong Joon-ho, our Academy Award winner.
Oh.
Science
When
fiction.
did that come out?
5-6 years ago?
I've not seen that.
They've been trying to make a TV series out of it, too. I haven't. I have a steelbook of Snowpiercer.
What did you think of it?
I like Snowpiercer. I don't love Snowpiercer. It's too... I don't know. It's about... Well, it's a post-apocalyptic movie set on a train. And the further up the
I like
train
train
cars...
movies.
well, yeah, this is different. You'll like this. You'll like this movie.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You'll like the movie. It's good. It's a good movie. So Throg, Elizabeth... Yeah, men want to be a hero and want a lot of vagina. That's pretty much... Yes,
Yeah.
that's all we want.
That's true.
Has Elizabeth seen Snowpiercer? No. But we'll see that. Roberto Suarez is here. Cleaning up around the house while listening to you, I found a Bruce's Candy Kitchen saltwater taffy guide. Kismet. Oh my God. What Roberto is referring to is my favorite candy of all time is cinnamon saltwater taffy, but not just any cinnamon saltwater taffy, because I've tried cinnamon saltwater taffy all across this great planet. I even had cinnamon saltwater taffy in the base of the Rocky Mountains. Where remember when I went to Fort Collins and they took me up to the hotel where Stephen King was?
Yes.
I bought cinnamon saltwater taffy there, and it didn't hold a candle. Bruce's Candy Kitchen in Cannon Beach, Oregon. I've been going to it since I was a little kid, since I was 5 years old. That's where I discovered it. This is how I don't change. It's been my favorite candy since I was 5. It's my favorite candy now. I mean, when I'm 55, that'll be 50 years that I've loved that candy. That's how dedicated I am to my interests. So, Roberto, it is Kismet. It is, in fact, Kismet. That's amazing. Why would you found a Bruce's Candy Kitchen saltwater taffy guide?
A guide?
A guide. I mean, I wonder if it's online. Now I want to know.
Wow.
It's funny because people are always like, well, my sister, because she lives in Portland too, she's like, well, what you want to... And I'm like, if you're going to get me saltwater taffy, no, I just want one.
The cinnamon.
The cinnamon, that's it. That's all I want. The problem with it is when it comes, it comes in wax paper, so you think you have a giant bag of it, but really it's like this big, because...
It's not a lot.
Yeah, but it's still good. So listen, let's get back on track. Let's talk about Billy Wilder's ultimate example of film noir that he co-scripted with Raymond Chandler, based on a James M. Cain, the man who wrote Postman Always Rings Twice, based on his novella that was based on an actual 1927 case.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
So on a scale of, on the bottoms up, on the whining about movies bottoms up scale, that being 1 to 4 glasses of wine.
Yes.
How many glasses of wine would you give Double Indemnity?
I would give this 4.
Flat up 4.
Yeah, I would give it 4.
I too, on our bottoms up scale, Double Indemnity gets a 4.
4.
100%
4.
4.
Yep.
Which is fantastic. fantastic.
Yes.
So let's hear it for Double Indemnity. Let's drink to the movie. Let's drink to the great Billy Wilder. By the way, I think Billy Wilder is one of my favorite directors of all time. If you haven't seen his other movies, I highly recommend delving into Billy Wilder's filmography. I don't even know if he's ever made a bad movie, now that I think about it. But all of his movies are worth seeing, and especially this one. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, this was fantastic. Loved it.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, we bring an end to our Elizaviews episode 8.
Yes.
Whining About Movies episode 8.
Yes, and episode 9
is going to be The Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
Which I've never seen. Which I don't know about, but okay. Yeah. Well, listen, where can people find you on social media, Elizabeth?
Well, on Facebook, I'm Elizabeth Bell, ELYSABETHBELLE. Same on Twitter, and on Instagram, I am EGBell, BELLE.
And you have a lot of your artwork on Instagram.
I do.
Which is fantastic.
Which I need to keep posting.
You need to keep posting that, because you're doing your grad work at Art Center.
I'm at Art Center College of Design.
In Pasadena.
Yes.
And you're going back and you're getting your degree.
Yep.
Which is pretty amazing, because you've been a painter all your life.
Yes, I have.
And you used to help your mom make wallpaper.
Yeah, my mom made wallpaper in the 80s and 90s.
And you assisted.
When wallpaper was huge. And yeah, she taught me how to mix colors.
And you design your own. The designs were...
Yep. Mm-hmm.
She also does stained glass.
She has, after that, she did stained glass, yeah.
So you come from a lineage of artists.
I do. My dad was a builder. He was an architect. Yeah. Very artistic family.
Well, that's good. So, that is good. Anthony Gonzalez sends in a tip and says, curious because of your background, Elizabeth, have you seen Welcome to Sarajevo? And Rob, have you seen Incendies? Yes, Incendies is Denis Villeneuve's first movie, and yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I have it on DVD. I do not have it on Blu-ray, and Incendies is great. That's a good movie to watch. That's a movie to show you.
Put it on the list.
Oh yeah, put that on the list. I have not seen Welcome to Sarajevo.
Well, maybe we should both watch it.
Well, being that your dad is he's Serbian.
My dad was Serbian.
You're half Serbian and half French.
Yep.
Now, can you speak Serbian?
I can. Not as well as French, but I can.
Right, but would you speak Serbian?
Maybe.
Well, I'll tell you something. Okay, for those who haven't seen it, every time I meet somebody who's from Yugoslavia, Serbo-Croatian, I ask them if they know this movie. And
I've not seen it.
Okay, I know. This movie is so good. I love this movie. I call this the Serbian Stand By Me, in a way. It's called, the American title is Hey Baba Reba. I know, it's a little weird. I do have this on Laserdisc as well, and I love how it says in Serbo-Croatian with English subtitles. If you haven't seen this film, this is a wonderful movie. This has nothing to do with film noir.
I have not seen it.
It's so good. I don't know why I have this VHS.
Yeah, VHS, you pull out.
I have it on VHS. And, well, I just have it.
So you just pull it off of your shelf, a VHS.
I found it in a box, and it's one of the only remaining VHSs I have. I just love this movie so much. I don't even know when I got this VHS, but anyway, of course I have it on Laserdisc and DVD.
You have the Laserdisc.
Yeah, I do. And DVD of it. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, this brings an end to Elizaviews Whining About Movies, episode number 8. 008.
Yes.
Double Indemnity. Tune in for Wednesday. Sound of Music. We're talking about Sound of Music. Doe a deer, a female deer.
So is our theme musicals?
Oh yeah, let's make it musicals.
Okay.
So our next 4 episodes will be musicals. Musicals, that's what we'll do.
Musicals.
Here's to musicals. No, oh yeah, we're now at this part. All right, we're back to the other camera. Well, listen, we want to thank everybody. I want to thank my moderating staff. I want to thank Mike Bodden. I want to thank Jordy Lyons. I want to thank the great Louis Yu, who is here right now moderating. I want to thank Greg Smith and, of course, Detective Jim Boyers. I want to thank also all of you kind beings, you gentle creatures from all the 28 known galaxies, whoever you may be, whatever you may believe, however you identify, you are all welcome here on the Burnettwork. And thanks for watching the show and supporting the show. We really appreciate it. Do you have anything to add to that?
Watch Ozark. It's amazing.
We did watch Ozark. What does that have to do with movies? That's streaming.
It's so good. It's on my mind.
You know, it is. Well, Ozark is like a noir.
It is.
It's totally a noir.
Totally.
And the third season was awesome.
So good.
The third season was so good. You know what? I said this earlier. The third season of Ozark was what I wanted Godfather 3 to be like. I wanted Michael Corleone and Tom Hagen to be battling one another for the family, but that didn't happen. But this movie was all about Wendy and her husband fighting... what's her husband's name? Why am I drawing?
Marty.
Oh, Marty. Yeah, Wendy and Marty. I was saying that today. I remembered that it's the wine speaking. That Wendy and Marty were at odds, and I thought that was a great choice. Ozark, you know, pretty well written show, really well acted. A lot of surprises. Don't read anything about what happens.
No.
Well,
Anyway,
yes.
Back to movies.
Back to movies. This brings an end to Liz Views. I keep saying that. I am the worst person to get off shows. I just keep talking.
It's true.
It's terrible. I can't stop. But anyway, we want to thank you for being here. Join us. Please subscribe. Please like if you like these shows and subscribe and all of that. We appreciate all of your generous support, and it's great to have you here. And thanks in these trying times.
Send letters.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, send letters. You can send letters to us at theburnettwork.net. We love letters. We got our first
videos.
one. And videos. If you want to send videos of yourself talking about your favorite movies, we will play them on the show. We want to thank Christopher Morgan, who is loopdedoo at Gmail. We want to thank you, Christopher, for our first letter.
Yes, thank you.
So that's very cool. And we'll hopefully see you on Wednesday. I'll tell you how alive the hills really are. We'll see.
Maybe he'll sing for you.
Oh my! I do that. When Mukbang sends me Prince songs, I sing.
Yes, I know.
All right, kids, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for being here. And and as always, as I like to say,
have a better night.
Have a better night. Watch some movies. Drink some wine.
Oh, sorry.